What up, everybody? Got a very, 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 very special guest joining us today. You may know him if you listen to In the Loop 10 to 2 Sports Radio 610 and other 610 shows. Attorney Sam is joining us, a man who we go to frequently on the station for, it, I'll say it's been a popping season for lawyers and attorneys right now, especially after the whole Deshaun Watson thing, which took a whole year of legal drama and things we normal people didn't understand. So we had to tap in with y'all for that, and then the whole thing with Chris Rock and Will Smith. So it's a lot of people, attorney advice and
Hey,
commentary.
Travis Scott.
Travis Scott too. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on that people are seeking advice and seeking the thoughts of lawyers to see what's going to happen in the legal realm. We got a very, very special guest joining us. Attorney Sam is with us today. Finally, we made Attorney Sam happen on the show, putting a face to the name. So how you doing, man? How you doing?
Oh man, as I always like to tell folks, black and excellent, no complaints.
Okay, I like that.
Just enjoying life, man. It's another day. It's Friday, so it's we still happy houring right now. So
it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. I hear you. I hear them talk about you all the time on the station. So it's good to finally meet and link up, and we can get into your story. We can also ask you, some things. Your thoughts on certain things that have been happening in the city and the nation. From your perspective. But let's get into your background, man. Like, how'd you start up? How'd you eventually become an attorney? Like, where was your beginning in your life path? Where did that start?
Man, it's crazy. I started off, actually, I went to Alabama State University, went there, played basketball 4 years, won 2 SWAC championships. I always got to throw that in there. Went to the NCAA tournament twice. Okay. Got my degree in radio and TV broadcast and just figured I was going to be on radio. I was going to be the next Stuart Scott. Decided I came home. I interned at KBXX, KMJQ. I served as the producer for the Jeff Harrison show, which was the drive time show on Magic 102. And I also served as the producer for the Cracker Nuts. And so that's kind of how I got my start. And I just took a liking to it. And I knew I wanted to be on the programming side. And I was working my way up. And, they hired me. And next thing I know, I'm on the promo team. And then I'm getting my own show with Joke the Smoke and DJ Ebonics, the Friday Night Takeover. And we had a change in management, and new management came and put the kibosh on all that. And so me as a person that, I can always see the writing on the wall, and I've always been a very ambitious and aggressive person. I don't believe in having a salary cap. And once I see someone messing with my money and dictating how much I can make and when I can make it, I don't like that. So I knew the writing was on the wall, and at the same time, I still was keeping myself in shape for any opportunities to, continue my basketball career. And it just so happened, man, law school was an idea that my dad, who's an attorney, but he wasn't a glamorous attorney. He wasn't like the Matlock and, the Johnny Cochrans and stuff. He did boring stuff. And then he also he was more of a musician than anything. And so I didn't necessarily see like that glamorous lifestyle that I thought lawyers were supposed to have. But I'm from Greenspoint. So we saw the struggle, you know what I'm saying? But my dad always I would work with my dad. My dad and I are like this. We're best friends. And, I work with my dad, and I like the law. I could always speak with people. I could always, connect with them. But it was just in the back of my mind, like, law school, I'm not really interested. Well, once Katrina hit, man, I had a relative come stay with us, my Uncle Dalton from New Orleans. If you know anything about folks from New Orleans, very blunt, especially once they get a little Crown Royal in them, and he just was just talking bad about radio and basketball. Boy, that radio's stupid. That basketball's stupid. Your daddy wants you to go to law school. He ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna tell you, that radio is stupid. And things happened, and I had an epiphany, man. I lived in the infamous apartments over in Greenspoint, the Vanderbilt. Everyone from Greenspoint knows about the Vanderbilt. And I got stopped 3 times within a matter of 10 days and being my car or me fit the profile of a suspect in an armed robbery, a drug dealer. And the last time, it was the most humiliating thing I ever experienced, where myself, a friend of mine who played AAU basketball with me, who was home, we were outside just standing around talking. I was lacing them up with some of the latest CDs. Back in the day, you get those DJ Drama mixtapes. I had them for him. Like, hey, bro, I got this new DJ Drama. I'm going to keep you laced up, because he went to school up north in Boston. So I don't know what happened, but I ended up in handcuffs. I ended up being accused of supposedly fitting the profile of a known drug dealer in the area, where the range of this person was a black male between the ages of 24 and 30, 180 to 230 pounds. And it was just humiliating. I remember my dad. I called my dad. He comes over with a big Kool-Aid stained shirt, and he's talking reckless. I'm talking about, he's talking big boy shit. Like, hey, get him out them handcuffs, this and that. My dad is a very mild-mannered person, but that was the first time I saw them, and I saw the respect he commanded. And once they realized he was an attorney, things kind of died down. And you always had one officer, the little guy, that's always trying to, be the most aggressive out there. He told my dad that profile. My dad was like, man, that could be this whole entire complex, man. I lived in a 95% black complex. That could have been the entire complex. And at the time, man, my mind, I'm like, bro, I don't graduate from college. I've done everything the right way. I've seen parts of the world that people could only imagine. I've played basketball. I've done everything the right way. And to be treated like this, to be talked to like this, nah, that's not what happened. And the light bulb went off, and I applied to law school, and I was able to get in to Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge, and went there. And it was fun times. After graduating from Southern, I took my talents west, went to work at the Clark County Public Defender's Office out in Las Vegas, which was super wild. I represented some interesting, I took on some interesting cases. But in 2011, I came home, passed the Texas bar, first time out, and I've been here ever since, man. Doing criminal law, not just all over the city, not just all over the state. I take cases all over the country. So, it's just crazy, man. I never thought, and today I'm actually celebrating my 20th year as a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. I never thought,
that's dope,
I appreciate it. I never thought in 2002, while we were actually pledging, I never thought I would be here at this point. I knew I would have a successful life, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I think I've done some really good things and made an impact on my community, and that's really my biggest thing. So I'm here, coach AAU basketball, giving back, making sure, man, we putting boys in college. So that's my story, man.
Okay, so what made you get into law? I know you mentioned your dad was an attorney, but it seemed like a lot of people that's into sports or into radio, they had some type of connection with being a lawyer or something like that, or an attorney. So is this some type of connection there, or did you just want to go to law school?
The only connection really was my dad. And like I said, I worked with my dad a lot of times when I would come home for the summer. And I would just be in the mix, dealing with clients. And he saw that I was good with communicating with people, and people gravitated towards me. And, when people would be mad, I knew how to calm them down. I knew what to say. And he was like, man, bro, you take to this like a duck to water. But like most kids, man, I ain't trying to hear that stuff, Dad. Like, you got your life. I'm going to do my own thing, brother. My dad was a musician. I was good. I played the saxophone, but that wasn't my thing. But you gave me a football, a basketball, or a baseball, man, I was a fool. And basketball, I knew was my way to get a free education, right? So I looked at it like, okay, well, and a lot of my partners, man, from college and just from growing up in Greenspoint and just around the city of Houston, I had a lot of friends that played pro ball. Michael Bourne is one of my very best childhood friends. Played with the Astros, played with the Indians. Carl Crawford, we all grew up playing baseball together on the same team, So those are like personal friends of mine. I had buddies that were playing in the NFL. It's just kind of like guys knew I was intelligent and would ask me questions like, well, man, this was going on with this contract. What you think about that? And like, oh, well, look like they're trying to get over on you. But, so I thought when I first went to law school, man, I was gonna be a sports agent. That was my thinking. Like, yo, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna be a sports agent. Myself and two other guys, we actually kind of created a sports agency and filed the paperwork. But as I got into the criminal clinic at Southern University, I kind of felt that was more my lane. And then I was dealing with my partners who were athletes. And then one of my boys is the manager for Khalil, the singer. We went to Alabama State together. He's Bobby Valentino's best friend, right? So he would call me about things. Then I would be getting calls from the artists like I was their manager or something. Like, bro, what? So I knew I didn't want to be a babysitter. And that's what I felt like a sports agent was going to be, like a glorified babysitter. And I didn't want to do that because I don't have the tolerance or the temperament for that. Because I'm going to go off on your ass. Don't call me at 2 a.m. talking about your pillows ain't fluffed up right. Hey, man, we ain't got time for that. And that's kind of calls, all jokes aside, that's the type of stuff I was getting. So I felt like that was my connection with my dad, but I wanted to bring another twist to it, and I thought it was going to be the sports, but really it was the criminal law. Like I said, it's just something about speaking up for people that are in a powerless position and who have been falsely accused. And again, I can actually say I could walk in your shoes and know how that feels, and it's a horrible feeling, so that was kind of my connection. But yeah, you're right. Most people with sports, like I said, bro, I thought I was going to be a sports agent. Like, that was my thing. Before there was David Mulligetta, I was like, who's a newt, by the way. So, I always try to show love. So he's a cool cat, super intelligent. So,
Yeah, that's a funny story because we do make jokes in the industry about how so many radio producers, especially at our station, actually happened a couple times when I just got hired on 610. 2 of our producers had just left like that same year to go to law school. And it's like, it seems like the radio producer to law school pipeline was just at some point reality hits and it's like, okay, we got to get a grown up job. So
the funny part about it is even on the national level, like what Mike Florio and different random people that was into sports, like broadcasting, they're like, oh yeah, I used to be an attorney. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, how was this even connected like that? So whenever legal stuff happened, then they write on it. So it's like, damn, like what? How is this related at some point? Because I like sports too. I like radio, but there's no way in hell I ever thought about being a lawyer, man. It was just like, whoa, that's something totally different.
It's crazy, man. And like I said, getting the opportunity to speak about the legal issues that have come up this year. Like, this has been a wild year for Houston sports fans. Like, it's been a crappy year actually for us fans. And I'm a diehard Houstonian, man. I tell folks all the time, bro, like, I know my team is trash right now, but I ride or die with them. Rockets, I see the vision. I just hope they'll keep silence for 2 more years because that's when the team is going to be in contention. Astros, Uncle Dusty. Hey, man, I love us. Texans, I ain't got no choice but to love us. I was there. I remember being in my dorm room watching the very first game against the Cowboys. We won that game. I ain't care nothing less. Like, as a Houstonian, hey, bro, just beat the Cowboys, right? And so I've been down with it since 2002. And once, Vince Young left the Titans, I was 100%, Texans. Like, this is my team. Like, I can't. Even though I keep telling myself, man, I'm not about to put up with this foolishness. I ain't go no road games this year. I normally try to go to 2 or 3 road games. I'm like, man, I ain't spending no money on this. Like, But it's hard, man. When you're a fan, you're a fan. And so this being on and being able to speak, and give my expertise on some of these legal issues has been really fun. And it's kind of giving me some ideas about maybe what my next move is. And there have been opportunities. People have reached out asking me questions. How would I feel about it? But when the right opportunity comes, man, I was embroiled in a judicial campaign, so I really didn't have an opportunity to evaluate those opportunities as they were coming. But, hey, man, I feel like I can do what Florio is doing.
Oh, definitely. You do it better, too. I don't really fuck with Florio that much. But so you did mention the Texans being a mess, and they are a mess. We know why they're such a mess right now. One of the biggest cases this year has been, of course, Deshaun Watson. The legal, took a year long. I was really shocked it took this long but apparently this is normal in the legal world for cases to take this long. But it just felt really long to me. But what are your general thoughts on that? What are your thoughts about how the grand jury hearings went? He had two of them, I believe, and of course there were no criminal charges filed. There's been a lot of talk back and forth. A lot of people who don't know how these things usually go are chiming in like they're experts. So it's kind of hard to really tell like what's really right and what really isn't. So what are your thoughts on that in general? And how do you think anything the way this played out was unusual at all in the legal world?
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of unusual things that are that took place and that are taking place. And we'll put a pin in that. I'll come back to that. I think, man, and this is what my lawyer hat on and not my fan hat. My fan of the Texans, my fan of Deshaun Watson. I think he was very fortunate to have the counsel that he had in Rusty Hardin and Letitia Quinones, as I know both of them personally and just their abilities to really put forth good defenses for their clients. There's a saying, and it kind of gets used a lot about a ham sandwich can be indicted. A ham sandwich can be indicted for murder because it's not hard to get an indictment. All it is just a formal proceeding of 12 to 13 strangers that none of us are actually supposed to know about. So that's one thing that's weird. Grand jury proceedings are supposed to be secretive, right? But you get these strangers together and you present, the state or the government, if you're on the federal level, they present their evidence to these 13 strangers who are convened for a period of time, 3 to 6 months at a time. They listen to all these cases in their respective jurisdictions. And a lot of times, man, this is like 90% of cases get indicted because it really depends on the prosecutor or the AUSA. It's the tone that they set. Like I myself do grand jury packets, right? Which is what Rusty and, Letitia did. They presented a grand jury packet. But a lot of times prosecutors sometimes, and I've been told by people that I knew that were on the grand jury, is like, yeah, the prosecutor, he just said, here's the packet, but you don't have to read it. So if you have a trustworthy and an ethical prosecutor that's going to present their side, but also present the defense's side with the same zest, and zealousness, it's possible that a no bill will come. And I've been the recipient of, no bills. But I think in Deshaun's case, what that tells me as a lawyer, right? The investigation that was done by multiple law enforcement agencies, from Houston Police Department to apparently Brazoria County, to Brazoria County Sheriff's Department, to in conjunction with the feds, there was not enough evidence there to even meet the low standard of probable cause. And probable cause translates into it's more likely than not that this happened. That's a very low burden, not beyond a reasonable doubt, which is what you have to prove in trial, but it's more likely than not. Right? So that's a very low burden. And so when you see that, it's like, okay, if you spend a year gathering up all this information, right, all from all these law enforcement agencies, and you had these strangers who, let's be real, it's impossible to live in the city of Houston or just be breathing and living in the state of Texas and not know about Deshaun Watson's issue. Again, because of the antics of one particular side, right? The plaintiff side, right? Putting things out there like that's not normal. That's highly unusual. And I tell Figgy this all the time, quite frankly, and everyone has different ethics, right? You got to do what you got to do for your client. I get it. But Rambo tactics like that, I'm not a fan of. And most of us in the profession are not fans of. But to Tony's credit, he's successful at it. I'm not going to knock him. He makes money. He knows how to get to it. He's successful at it. So, hey, it works. I just myself am not going to ever go that route to make $1, right? But it says a lot, again, when you had various grand juries come back saying no bill, we don't find enough. And I told Figgy this too, when in Brazoria, oh Lord, Brazoria County. See, people think Brazoria County, they think Pearland. Pearland is the most northern part of Brazoria County, and it only makes up like 5%. And let's be real, that's where all the black folks stay, right? The problem is Brazoria County's main hub is in Angleton. So you got to go about another 30, 35 miles, 40 minutes south to get there. So when I have to pick a jury in Brazoria County, I don't get people that look like us. I get them folks out there in Angleton and Alvin and Rosharon, right? You get people out Lake Jackson. You get them folks. There's nothing wrong with them. They're good people, but their idea of justice is way different than our idea in Harris County, right? And you can figure out why. Okay, I charge extra to go to Brazoria County, even though it's within, I say Greater Houston, because I know the foolishness I have to deal with. So when they came back with a no bill, I was like, okay, well, that says even more to me. And I know people are like, well, that doesn't mean that he's innocent or it doesn't mean that he's guilty. It means that this case is over with and that the charges have been
22 women.
That's what everybody's saying. There's nothing more. And by law, he has been exonerated because now this case is dismissed. Jeopardy is attached. It's over. Right. So now the criminal, when there's simultaneous, criminal and civil matters going, criminal is always going to dictate what happens on the civil, right? Because the stakes are higher. On your civil side, you're just dealing with money and property, right? That's why the burden is just by preponderance of evidence. I always tell people, imagine a football field. All you got to do is get to the other team's 49. That's it. But for beyond a reasonable doubt, man, you got to get in the green zone. Yeah, not the red zone. You got to get in the green zone. Damn sure not if you the Texans, because we had a problem scoring in the red zone. You got to get in that green zone. So that's a high burden. So the criminal side always leads the civil side. And now you still have these complaints, and it could be a situation. It can go one or two ways. You can have people that say, hey, look, and this is the route that I think Deshaun might be taking. And in full disclosure, I'm not privy to any of those legal conversations. I try to make sure when I see Letitia or Rusty, I don't say anything, because, again, that could be a conflict, and that's a violation of their attorney-client privilege, right? So I don't know which way they're going, but it sounds like Deshaun has dug his heels in, especially after these criminal cases have, been gone away. So now it's like, okay, we have more leverage, right? There's no reason for me to settle. I might as well take it the whole way. Now, this thing could happen. It can end up one or two ways. You can find juries that will be like, well, you know what? They didn't find any criminal cases and we know about it. Can't nothing be here, right? Or you could have the OJ scenario where OJ was found not guilty, but they hammered OJ in the civil, right? And said he was liable for the death. You could have something like that. Now, fear with that is because it was released how much money Deshaun made, that $230 million. I know the plaintiff's counsel is sitting here saying, okay, well, that there was rumors that he was willing to settle for $2 million with everybody, so each plaintiff would get like $100,000. Oh, that number don't gone up because now you got 230 guaranteed. Hey, brother. Now we need more than that, or let's just roll the dice and go to trial. If you're feeling that good, I was about to say if you're feeling that freaky, but that would be
if you're feeling froggy.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so much unique. I hate to say it's weird and unprofessional, but man, some of the stuff just makes me feel so slimy. Like I said on Twitter the other day, the fact that depositions are being released, that's wild. Like,
I mean, is it really though? We've seen depositions be leaked in high profile cases all the time.
You see it after
with celebrities.
You're right. You may see it after the fact. And I guess somebody made a comment, well, A&E has made a living off of that. I said, yeah, they have. However, the case has already been settled and they get access to that. I don't have any problems with that, but it's an ongoing case. So what you're doing is tainting any potential jury pool that's out there. And you're trying to, again, win the public opinion as opposed to the court's opinion. Like
now who was responsible for getting that video? Was it Busby and his peoples, or was it because I want to say it was Fox 8 in Cleveland, the news station, who released
they're not going to reveal their sources, but you know damn good and well. Okay, let me not say that because I'm being exact, and I hate when people be exact when they don't know. I wasn't there. But who does that benefit? It doesn't benefit Deshaun Watson that came.
Yeah.
right? That benefits the plaintiff. The only people in those depositions when Deshaun is being deposed is Attorney Tony Busby, Attorney Rusty Hardin and his team, and maybe Attorney Tony Busby and his team, his lawyers, right? His paralegal, Deshaun Watson, and the court reporter. So the court reporter, they take an oath. You're not releasing stuff like that. Like, you can get fired, right? You know, this stuff is supposed to be kept sacred. So both sides get access to it, you know, because you pay for it. And like, hey, look, I need to get a copy of that. The only time you use a deposition, or you should be using a deposition, is when you're in trial, because it's a sworn statement and the witness is now saying something completely different than what they said when they were deposed. So you use it to impeach them, right? To catch them in a lie, to try to get them to perjure themselves. But to just leak it randomly to the place that he just got traded to, come on, man. Like, come on. They ain't leak it to a Houston news station. They ain't leak it to ESPN. They leaked it to Fox 8. And again, we're talking about a side that when this came about, first thing they went to was Instagram to post about it. Like, yo, like, that's not normal, man. Like, that's not, you know, that's not normal for people that I know in this profession, people that I respect in this profession. And again, I'm not knocking him because he gets to the paper. You know, he'll let you know he gets to the paper. He's always bragging about Antioch Ranch and I just sold my Rolls Royce. Hope somebody, like, that's his shtick, right? He throws parties for 45. You know, that's his shtick, right? But it's dirty, bro. Like, that's all I can tell you. Like, that is, you're right, Brother Rockett. It's not necessarily, it's uncommon, but we've seen it before, especially in high-profile cases. With William H. Cosby, Bill, they released his deposition, right? But now that, to me, was released for a couple reasons. One, I felt like, okay, if someone leaked that, it benefited Bill Cosby because it also, in that deposition, talked about the fact that there was an agreement made that there were going to be no criminal charges pressed if he, you know, did not plead the fifth and actually be deposed. So that was beneficial to, you know, Bill Cosby. This ain't beneficial to Deshaun. It makes him look creepier than ever, you know, and it's just kind of like, and it's only a small snippet. And it was done that way to kind of misconstrue the context. I'm sure there was a previous question asked before he gave that statement and a follow-up. You know, it was just done to just embarrass him. And like, I also think that's embarrassing for the plaintiffs because it's like, man, come on, man, you opening the floodgates, you opening the door. And I would imagine, and I'm surprised they haven't done it yet, but maybe they want him to keep talking and making a spectacle of it. But normally you might see a defense counsel say, hey, judge, we need a gag order because, like, this is getting out of hand. And since we are heading to trial, we are really getting close to not having a qualified jury pool because everyone is going to be tainted. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff, man.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because last week Deshaun had his press conference, and you know a lot of people was reacting to that, and I thought Busby was gonna make a post about it, like right after it was over, and he never did. But the ironic part about it is that's when the videos came out, so that made total sense. That was his statement right there. That was his clap.
Yeah, the video leak, and that's exactly what I thought. I was like, okay, yeah, he didn't jump up and down on that, and boom, what do you know? Late at night, we get a leak of deposition. Like, leak of deposition? Come on, man! Like that's not normal. Like, you don't leak a deposition because, again, the court reporter is not doing that. I forgot what the actual name. I can't think right now. The person that comes in and records the deposition, and this was a video deposition too. So it's like, hey man, you're taking extra care because this privacy matters, and this is a sexual assault claim or sexual misconduct. Man, the laws are even more aggressive to protect defendants and victims. Like, you can't, like, it's unheard of.
Yeah, there has been strange behavior. I also saw on Sports Illustrated this week, one of the accusers, I don't think she was somebody who was, filing a lawsuit with Tony Busby, but she actually put out a piece on Sports Illustrated, kind of talking about what happened with Deshaun. And this all happened like right after, we've had all this time, but right after the trade happens, suddenly we get this piece in Sports Illustrated. It's been some weird behavior, man. So do you actually believe, because both sides have said they don't want to settle in the past, Tony Busby and Rusty Harden's camp have both echoed that. I always thought that was just a little dramatic acting. They have to put the pressure on the other side to say we don't want to settle. But I would imagine both sides really want that in the end. I would imagine Deshaun actually does want this to go away. I would think he wouldn't want to fight this for years and years down the line, however long it takes for all these cases go to trial, whatever they go to. So do you actually believe them when they say they don't want to settle? And how far do you think this will actually go?
Man, that's a tough question. I think if your client is adamant, I didn't do anything wrong, right? And again, I'm putting my criminal lawyer hat on, not my civil lawyer hat just yet. But in the criminal standpoint, it's like, okay, cool. I tell my clients, we don't plead the shit that you didn't do, and we don't plead the shit they can't prove. Get you 12, let's go to trial, right? Civil side is a little bit different because I've represented plaintiffs, I've represented defendants, right? It's because we're dealing with money, and not just money, but we're also dealing with your reputation and or brand. We have to make a different type of business decision, right? So I think right now, emotionally, Deshaun is like, screw that. I want to go to trial because now I've been cleared of any criminal wrongdoing. So I feel more empowered to be like, yeah, no, screw y'all. We're going to trial. I didn't do this. Okay. I want my name clear. He has been stepping on that. I want my name clear. And I get it. So I think prior to the grand jury rendering its verdicts, I think that they were really wanting to settle. And I know there was a report that they were this close, to having a deal to Miami, but it was contingent upon them settling. And, 18 of the women wanted to settle, but then there were 4 that didn't, which I found kind of weird because when you have a suit like that, pretty much everybody's going to be on the same page because there's no way to say, okay, well, your damage, your harm is greater than woman 2 or woman 3 or woman 4. So you do what's called a global settlement. And in global settlement, where it's like, all right, we just going to give you $3 billion or $3 million. Y'all split it equally amongst everybody, But I think Tony Busby wants to settle. I think it would be more beneficial for them to settle than it would be to go to trial, right? And a lot of times we have a saying that you always prepare a case for trial and ultimately it will settle. But if you prepare to settle, it inevitably goes to trial. So, there's different motivations for both sides, right? Deshaun's side is trying to clear his name, get back his reputation, which I've been adamant about this. He'll never be looked at the same. Never. He can do everything that he wants to do, but he will never be looked at the same, right? His motivation is I want to clear my name. I want to get back to playing football. The get back to playing football is very important, right? As an athlete, people will be like, well, man, he got paid $10 million to sit at home. The fact that he had to sit at home and couldn't play was eating him up, even if he would have had to play for the Texans. I'm telling you, as an athlete, man, you want to be out there competing, especially when you're seeing your peers who you think you're better than getting this praise and saying, oh, he's a top 5 quarterback. Oh, he's a top. Like, I wasn't just out here balling. You're a competitor, right? So that little piece right there is the one advantage that I think, the one little carrot that they could dangle over Deshaun, be like, man, if you're trying to get back to playing, hey, bro, go ahead, let's settle this stuff. And that's if I'm the plaintiff, that's what I'm pushing. You got your trades, you got your wish, you got your guaranteed money, but I know you want to get back out on the field and be legendary. All right, let's settle these cases. I'm sure there's already been talks with the commissioner. People these backroom talks happen all the time, man. Like, folks know, higher ups know, okay, this is probably the punishment that is going to be rendered. Now, with that being said, I think based on what I heard Commissioner Goodell say on Tuesday, And there's some owners that are outraged about the fact that, hey, how is it possible that a guy that didn't play football for an entire year, forced his way out of town, gets an $80 million raise and then gets his entire contract guaranteed? This is the first of its kind. And the one thing NFL owners have tried to prevent, we don't want to be the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, they're definitely scared of that. They are. Mm-hmm. And that was actually going to be my next question too. I know the NFL is not bound by, legal rules. They're their own business. So they don't have to, they can punish somebody without somebody necessarily doing something jail worthy or anything like that. But on what grounds do you think they can actually suspend or discipline Deshaun Watson? Because we talked about that. Figgy brought it up too on the show, how if he's, beaten, there were no criminal charges levied against him, and he's still in court for the civil cases. What can they really do to say, hey, no, something, there's been no clear indication that any wrongdoing has happened legally. So on what grounds could they actually suspend him, and how could they even justify that?
So I haven't had a chance to look at the CBA in a long time. And I know they just had a new CBA where it took away the power of Goodell to be the judge and executioner, right? Judge, jury, and executioner. So now there's like some outside person that comes in or a committee, I believe. But that personal conduct policy is a very vague policy, very vague. It's very broad. And if we were in a court of law, we would object on vagueness. And we would say that it's unconstitutional because it's so vague. But there are 4 words that I think will help you understand why he will be suspended. Embarrassment to the shield. This is embarrassing to the shield. The NFL is all about its image. That's it. They don't care nothing else. We care about our image. So if you bring embarrassment to the shield, that violates the personal conduct policy. Go back to Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott wasn't charged with anything, but the fact that a video came out,
the video
of him groping the young lady's boob it looked like Mardi Gras, some type of party, after just coming off an investigation in Columbus when he was at Ohio State for supposedly assaulting
a fight or something. Yeah.
So it's an embarrassment to the shield. Man, we got to suspend you. Big Ben wasn't charged with anything, and that was back in the day when Roger Goodell first got there. It was like, man, I got to lay down the law, And I tell people all the time, which is crazy to me. I tell all these Houston people who turned on Deshaun and who act like, oh, well, we can get another franchise quarterback after we just waited 16 damn years to get one. Big Ben was charged with 2 sexual assaults. One down in my namesake town, Milledgeville, Georgia. Right? So, and it just kind of got, like, hey, look, it went away, they settled, and they had to suspend him. It's an embarrassment to the shield. I take it a step further. And this is why now I'm putting my fan hat on and my black man hat on as a person that just cares about the young man, Deshaun Watson, the young black man, Deshaun Watson. One thing I know about the NFL, all of its owners except for one, Shad Khan, have one common characteristic. They powerful white men. You want something to go away, they know how to make it go away. See Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft literally got caught
in the brothel.
In a human trafficking establishment that the feds have been looking at. And you know what Robert Kraft happened to him? Hey, man, you just get suspended for 2 games from being in your own suite and a fine. $500,000? Why? Not that his charges went away, but it was an embarrassment to the shield. And he's not under that personal conduct policy because he's management. But at the same time, it's an embarrassment to the shield. So even though Deshaun was not found guilty, there's still the possibility of being found liable. And even if he isn't found liable, it's an embarrassment to the shield for you to even have yourself in this situation. And that, as a black man who knows he's in rare air, bro, you can't put yourself in these types of situations. You just can't. I don't know what happened. And I'm not going to be one of these people that said, oh, he's guilty, he's a slime ball. I'm not going to be one of these people that say he didn't do it. I don't know. I just know you put yourself in a weird spot. You put yourself in a tough spot where now people are just forming opinions. And those opinions are becoming the narrative, and those narratives are becoming your truths when you didn't do anything.
You know what? But he said he ain't got no regrets. So
yeah, that's what bothered me too. The fact I expect him to be a little contrite in that press conference. The fact that he basically, stood 10 toes down and said, I don't regret anything. That's what really got on people's nerves, I think.
Yeah, and I think he kind of went off script, and you could tell the answers and the questions that he had practiced for, because he had the same answer about, I've never disrespected any women. That's not what I've been brought up. Like, he was good with that, and, he kind of had the humble posture. Like, believe it or not, man, we coach body language. Like, when I have people testify, and this is my client, like, oh, man, your body language look like you're lying. Okay, hey, bro, your eyes look like they're lying. You got lying eyes. Like, we gotta be confident. We gotta be contrite. Like, look. And I felt like at that point, it was either he got annoyed. There were two questions that bothered me. Do you have any regrets? And are you going to go to counseling? Yeah. And you can tell he kind of went off script. Was like, what? Mm-hmm. I don't need counseling. It's like, I get it, but that's not the answer. That's not the answer I would have liked to have seen. And the no regrets, you could have said something again, man. It's I know we're going to talk about the Will Smith stuff, but it's easy to say what we would have done from the sideline with a bird's eye view. But when you in that moment, and these questions are coming at you and it's already uneasy. Like, he looked uneasy.
Yeah, he definitely was.
I don't care if he is getting $230 million. He looked uneasy because it's like, okay, this is the first time I've had to speak about this and where people are asking me questions, right? And it's hard. It's hard. It's embarrassing. It's hard. And so I felt like when they asked him, did you have any regrets? I personally, if it were me, would have been like, I have regrets for even bringing my family and having my family put in this. I hate things are where they are, but, I still profess my innocence. I didn't do anything wrong, but I do regret the fact that we are even here and that you even have to ask that question. Something like that. Like, nah, my father was like, nah, no regrets at all. With kind of like a little smirk. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. The counseling thing, it's like, man, I could have, somebody should have said, well, look, that's not something that we talked about, but I'm willing to sit down and listen, to any suggestions, because I don't want to find myself in this position again. Something like that. That's a good politically correct answer, but you're being true to yourself. And I get it. Even if you feel like you don't have a problem, most addicts say they don't have a problem.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Yeah, most addicts, and it just shine, because I want to see him win. I really do. And again, man, I'm just about empowering young people, empowering young black folks, man. Look, he has a gift that has been given to him, and he has been able to monetize that. And I want him to win, man. And it's just like, I get it, bro. Like, what he's accused of, and it just seems like, just based on what we know from the little details we get and that are leaked, okay, man, you might got a little fetish or something. I don't know, right? But I don't think he's a bad person. I want to see him win. I want to see him be successful, knowing what he comes from and how he's risen above. I don't like the way things went down with the Texans. I don't blame him for requesting the trade, because it was a clown show. It was. It was poor management. People can go to jail for that type of malfeasance that was going on at that organization. Mm-hmm. Really, it was awful. But from trading D-Hop to, bringing on this Jack Easterby fella, to giving him more power, to, kind of abandoning the plan to hire someone outside of the Patriot family. And, you had the search firm and you didn't tell the man about it. You kind of told him you would include him, and then you didn't. And that was a mistake on Cal's part. He shouldn't have said, hey, I'm going to include you, and then you hired David Culley. And it's like, come on, man. Like, we're not trying to win, and football is too violent of a sport.
To be fair, the hiring of David Culley happened after the trade request, and some speculate that was a move made in part to help coax Deshaun to come back, possibly. Of course, it didn't work, but yeah, you can't include that in one of the reasons why Deshaun wanted out.
No, you're absolutely right. You're right. Factually, yes, he had already requested the trade, but if that's what you wanted to do, and that was your idea to try to get him back, to hire someone, and it really was insulting. You hired him because he was black, but you hired him because he was just going to go along with everything that you said. You had other alpha males out there. Like, I would have been cool with Leslie Frazier. I would have been cool with Jim Caldwell. I'd have been cool like I am now with Lovie Smith. But you hire a guy that couldn't even pick his own staff? Man, that, again, you're not this generation. I was talking with a friend of mine now. We were talking about the students at Howard University, how they not taking no stuff. They putting Howard on blast, and they getting what they want, right? This generation, what is it? Generation Z, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, man, they're smarter than what we think, and they're sitting there looking at that, and they're like, man, I'm not staying around for foolishness. Football is too violent of a sport to just be sitting here wasting years, as J.J. Watt told him walking out. Man, I'm sorry, we wasted a year. You can't do that. And so you hire this man. Great. I'm glad a black coach got an opportunity, but I wanted a qualified candidate. You've been in the NFL almost 40 years and you never held a coordinator's position. You weren't on any other team's radar. Like, we didn't know who this guy was. And it's like, what? How do you say that is a better candidate than, and I don't want to use Eric Bieniemy because for whatever reason, he still hasn't gotten the job.
Yeah.
But you had a Todd Bowles. You had a Byron Leftwich. You had a Raheem Morris. You had a Lovie Smith. You had a Jim Caldwell. You had a Leslie Frazier. I can keep going. A qualified black coaches that people knew about and that other teams were interested in. And that was your idea to try to get him back? Come on, man. Like, that tells me you really didn't want him back. And you were saying, hey, I'm going to choose a less valuable employee over my most valuable employee. That's what I, as a fan, couldn't get with. It's like, how much money does Jack Easterby generate? What is he responsible for ticket sales? Question for you.
How much does he generate? I mean, I had to look at their fiscal report. I don't know.
I know what you're saying. I mean, I don't think the fans are actually paying money to see Jack Easterby or anything like that.
Right.
It could be somebody else in that same position. And
right. It doesn't matter. Whatever his position is, executive vice president of football operations. And I'll speak on Rick Smith. Rick Smith was the general manager, but fans weren't coming to see Rick Smith. And Rick Smith is my frat brother. He's the person that brought us our first franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Right? People were going to see number 4, number 99, number 10, number 90, all the other players. So you choose this guy who, quite frankly, is not qualified to be in the position that he's in. Privilege is something, over a guy that, is your franchise quarterback, someone that plays the most difficult position in all of sports. Again, I don't blame the man for wanting to get out. I just hate the way I think there were some things that he could have done more professionally. Again, if I'm calling my staff, and I have a great staff at the Milledge Law Firm, if I'm calling my staff, your ass better call me back because clearly I need something. Clearly I need something. And the fact that we live in a day and age where you can get internet service anywhere, I don't care where you are. You didn't respond back to calls, man, that's unprofessional. That's childlike. Got to grow up. We're paying you too much money. I didn't like that. So I was wearing different hats. I'm wearing my fan hat. I'm wearing my father hat. Like, I'm concerned. Like, I look at him like a little brother. I want to see him best. Then I'm wearing my business on the hat. Now, you not dictating anything, right? You either play or you retire. That was my stance the whole time. And people, man, that's cold. No, it's not. We're going to get what we can get for you if we decide to trade you. Or, hey, man, you got $35 million coming, you can come play, or you can retire.
Yeah, there's a whole lot that can go into it. And we could talk about Deshaun all day, honestly, man. It's so multi-layered, so many layers to it. But we got some other things too, man. You did mention Tony Busby, of course. And we mentioned this, the whole Travis Scott Astroworld tragedy, which is a big story here. It still is. Ongoing lawsuits, of course. Now, we saw Tony Busby before Astroworld taking pictures with Travis Scott. And then after Astroworld, he deletes that picture and then starts, posting all the news articles from the disaster. And then a few days later, he's representing people who are suing Travis Scott.
He was actually posting a lot of pictures from previous concerts of how he and I guess Travis Scott pretty much promoted rage and stuff like that. So he was trying to build a case on social media saying, hey, look at this concert from 2012 where these 3 people got hurt. And look at him telling people to beat somebody up. So it was so strange because he just took a picture with him at the World Series. And now that picture totally gone. And he just pretty much dragging this guy through the mud. Like, hey, look what he did 10 years ago.
Well, there's a saying, a leopard don't change its spots. It just changes where it lays, right? So he's only loyal to that one thing, the mighty dollar. Again, it's not illegal for what he does. Some of us find it just unprofessional and borderline unethical. But, at the end of the day, man, like I said, I'm sure I've taken pictures with people that, I ended up like, oh, okay. Like, I don't look at that, but it was just knowing some of the stuff that he's done and just what seems to be his character. Yeah, it looks shady, right? But he's just loyal to money. And, again, man, like I say, I can sit here, bitch and moan all day, but the brother is paid. He does what he does very well, and he makes no bones about it. Like, he sleeps good at night. I've heard him say that, man. I sleep good at night. So, again, the whole Travis Scott thing now, I imagine they're going to settle because you're dealing with Live Nation and Live Nation. Yeah, they're not trying to go to trial. People died and, it's gotten publicized. I'm sure they're already dealing with settlements. And, there were a lot of lawyers that were upset about that, though. The fact that, man, look at this dude, like, out here, pimping, essentially. Like, come on, man. Like, you just posted a picture of him, at the World Series. And now you're out here, just slandering the man and trying to, besmirch his good name. And that's the thing I hate, man. Travis has done so much good stuff for the city of Houston. Prior to the Astroworld, I think literally 2 weeks before, he had just refurbished the basketball court over there in Sunnyside.
It was like a week ago, man. I was at the event.
And it's just kind of like, you're taboo now. Like, I hadn't seen him at any Rockets games. Like, he's been low. I don't even know if he's been back to Houston. He might still be out in Los Angeles, just kicking it out there. But again, man, that's the type. Now, let me say this: Tony Busby is not the only attorney that's practicing those tactics on that case. There's other attorneys. I've seen attorneys from San Antonio. I'm like, well, why are you here? I've seen attorneys from Nebraska. Like, what in the hell? So everybody trying to jump in on this. So it's not just Tony Busby. But again, Tony Busby is the person that we recognize due to his ability to be out front and, want the spotlight for other cases. But, man, he's just loyal to money. And again, his loyalty pays off. No pun intended.
Yeah. So do you think, question about Deshaun, do you think he going to actually fight all of these civil cases, or it's going to get to a point where he settle? Because I brought it up last week, how I think Rockett mentioned this today, how when if he do fight all these civil cases and actually win them all and don't pay a dime? Like,
that'd be so exhausting because you're not going to try all these. You're not going to consolidate all these cases together because they happen on different days. So essentially, what you would have is 22 different trials. You know how exhausting one trial is exhausting. You know how exhausting it would be to have 22 trials. I just think the sheer fact of fatigue might also cause a settlement, right? But then again, you try 2 or 3 cases and you win. Okay, well, that number goes down because now it's looking weaker and weaker, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if all of them are alleging the same type of behavior and juries found that, you know, okay, this behavior didn't rise to the level of misconduct or didn't really cause you any damage, you know, now I come to the negotiating table like, okay, you wanted me to give each one of them 100,000. How about this? I'm gonna give you 30,000, or we can go to trial.
Mm.
You can try your luck, but I just think that's so exhausting from a defendant standpoint, man. And again, that carrot, you want to get on the field, don't you? The NFL could say, look, man, we're not letting you play, you know, until this stuff is resolved. Because again, those 4 words, embarrassment to the shield. Like the longer this is out there, the more embarrassing it becomes. And it's just that stench is still there.
Yeah. And somebody brought it up too. Like, there's no way he probably gonna play with these civil lawsuits pending like this, because now you got people on the broadcast that have to bring it up. Like, hey, Deshaun Watson, he on the field for the first time. Right now, you got 22 lawsuits pending.
Oh yeah. It's
so that's not a good look.
It's exhausting just talking about it. Like it's exhausting. So I can imagine trying a case after case after case after case 22 times. Like this, I know it's mentally taxing on everybody. It's mentally taxing on the plaintiffs. I'm sure there's some of the plaintiffs that are like, man, I just want to be done with this shit. Like it's too much, right? Our names are out there. You know, you know, this guy's gotten more money. Like some of them probably are like, yo, it's too much. I just want to be done, right? Like it's not worth it anymore. You know, so I don't know, man. It's just exhausting. Like I say, I'm ready to turn the page and see what we can do, and you know, wish him well, and you know, someone get his life together. I mean, shit, he got it together. He got $230 million. So
yeah, it could be worse off. He could be way worse off.
Yeah,
he could be out of the league.
Yeah. We don't want to keep you too long, man. But we do got to get your take on the infamous slap
heard around
the world at this point. So yeah, I don't know how to approach this from a legal standpoint, because I mean, nobody was arrested, no charge is going to be filed. But just what were your thoughts in general about that, man? Like, who do you think was in the wrong there?
Man, it's so multi-layered. I had a very charged discussion with my beautiful lady about this, because I was like, you know, he was laughing at first. He looked over at his lady, Jada.
Was your lady like, hey, I want my man to be like that?
Yeah. Well, no, she didn't go that far, because she knows now you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. But she looked over at Will and put that battery in his back, and I feel like that's what caused him to go up there, right? I didn't know that Jada Pinkett, you know, had alopecia. I didn't know it was highly publicized, because I don't keep up with her like that. The only time I really follow her was during the little red table talk where Will talked about August Alsina in this entanglement, right?
Yeah.
So I immediately was like, and I didn't watch the Oscars. I don't watch the Oscars. Like, hell, I don't know a quarter of the movies that they're even talking about. Like, so I don't watch it. A frat brother of mine sent it to me, and I immediately woke up. I was like, man, did he really slap him? I thought it was a joke at first, but then once he's yelling out, keep my wife's name out, you know, your effing mouth, and then he says the second time, I said, oh no, he's serious. Like this ain't a game. Like he's serious. So now I'm sorry. The Negro in me is like, well, wait a minute. How you just gonna haul off and slap fire out of Chris Rock? But August Alsina was in there after you brought him in. This is Jaden's friend. Y'all brought him in to counsel him and help him with his mental issues. You and Jada having an open marriage, and this is what I had to explain. I was like, just because you have an open relationship doesn't mean there aren't rules. Mm-hmm. She violates the rules, doesn't get the authorization to entangle with August. Not once.
Now wait. To be fair, August Alsina has gone on record and said that Will Smith knew about this and was cool with it.
Oh,
so
was that after the red table talk?
No, I think it was before, because I think that was when all this stuff was coming out. And then they had the red table talk after August Alsina said his piece, and they were kind of forced to. But August Alsina initially did say that Will Smith was aware about they didn't even want to call it an affair on the Red Table Talk because they just said we were split up at the time. So to be fair, he did know about it. It wasn't like some behind the back shit, apparently.
Okay, well, the way I interpreted from Will's version on the Red Table Talk was, hey, even though we were split up, I didn't know this had taken place. And, that hurt me that you mess with this kid. Because it's almost like you took advantage of him in a bad mental state. That's kind of what I got from him. But my point is, well, wait a minute, man. Without having that knowledge that you just said, Brother Rockett, if Will is okay with it, okay, maybe that changed my perception. But I'm under the illusion that he wasn't okay with it. But you went up there and slapped fire to Chris Rock, but did nothing to the man that was beating your wife down and then made a song about it. It's like, God, dog, man, like, hey, but then I stepped back and I said, okay, there's really more going on inside the brain of Will Smith right now. Like, there's a bigger issue. There are more issues than just that joke. Because it was a joke, right? I get there's some jokes that are off limits, but I didn't like, okay, Will, first of all, from a legal standpoint, you assaulted that man on live TV. You assaulted him. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. That is a classic assault.
It's on video.
Right? So the only reason why he didn't go to jail is because Chris Rock was like, I'm not pressing charges. Because if Chris Rock pressed charges, that makes him look weak. He's got new stand-up material. Like that. That makes him look weak. So he's not going to press charges. And he and Will are actually friends. Right? So I felt like because you had that relationship with Chris Rock and you're in that small circle of black elites in Hollywood, yo, man, you could have handled that off camera when they went to a commercial break. Just like Denzel and Tyler Perry went up to you and talked to you after the fact during the commercial break. Bro, you could have done that and gone and holler at him in the back and like, hey, man, that was kind of insensitive. What Jada is going through, bro. Like, that's cold. Or, everybody got everybody's number. Reach out and talk to him. But to just do that and take away from what should have been a moment that we were celebrating, right? A moment that Venus and Serena were celebrating in honor of their dad, it's overshadowed. It's overshadowed. So I was mad at that. But then again, as my lady put out, we've all had out-of-body experiences. We've all been in situations where we've done stuff that was just completely out of character and we wish we wouldn't have done it. I imagine Will feels that way, right? Because the entire world, not country, the entire world saw it. And if they didn't see it, damn it, they've seen it now because it's memed out, I feel like Will was just tired of taking L's because that 2020, 2021 with this whole foolishness with Jada and her still professing her love for Tupac and, then the issue with August, I just think it was a lot, and it's almost like, man, when I watched Will on that Red Table Talk, and this is just me, man, he looked emasculated. Like it's like, damn, man, like hold your shoulders up, man, put your chest out. Like, but he just looked like he had just been through there and he was just tired. And I just felt like that was just a culmination of things. And then, there was some issues with the filming of King Richard. Apparently it was released. It wasn't supposed to be released on Paramount. It was supposed to be released by somebody else. And it kind of messed with their money. And, it was a lot going on. I was reading about it. So I don't know, man. It's just, and again, I get wanting to protect your wife. All men, I'm very protective of my lady. I want to make sure she's well taken care of, not going to let anybody disrespect her. But I also caution men, hey, you got to be careful about just going up, just jumping out there. Now, I've seen ladies put guys in bad positions to play Superman, find out they Clark Kent, So, I don't know, but I do feel like Jada's, I felt like she had something to do with just motivating him to walk his behind up there and slap him. Because again, and my lady tried to say, oh, it was a nervous laugh. We've all had that nervous laugh. I was like, that ain't look like no nervous laugh to me. It looked like he was laughing. Looked like classic, that shit funny, and he looked over at you. You were uncomfortable because there's history. You hadn't been back to the Oscars since 2016? When she boycotted the Oscars, so there was stuff there with that. And you just felt like you gonna let this guy talk to me like that, and I can just hear it now. Tupac wouldn't let him get away with this.
Mm-hmm.
He had to go on up there and do what he did. Now he had perfect form on the slap, but he assaulted Chris Rock, and Chris Rock, they were trying to pressure him to sue Will Smith because the Academy now has come out. The Academy had asked him to leave, and Will was like, "Nah, I ain't going nowhere."
There's conflicting reports about that.
Yeah.
That's a general sentiment so far, but Will Packer said something a little different. So there's conflicting reports as to whether they actually asked him directly to go, and he said no. So, but
I
it's going back.
Imagine him saying that, especially knowing that he won Male Actor of the Year, and this was historic because this is the third, I think, Sidney Poitier, Denzel, and Will. Like, this is historic. So, and again, I just hate that moment that was supposed to be about just a glorious moment was just overshadowed by just a bad moment, by just a bad, reaction. But again, man, you never know what a person is going through. And that's one thing I try to caution myself and caution others from judging him, just simply because we don't know what was going through his head and what all is taking place. Like, clearly something was going on, but yeah, he slapped fire. I don't know. and kudos to Chris Rock because he took it like a G. He and you can tell he wanted to respond back. Because you're not slapping me and I ain't responding back. Friend or no friend, I'm on your ass. You not, hey man, you're not doing that.
I think Chris Rock really made a business decision by not doing something because remember 2016 he was hosting the Oscars.
Right.
So if he would have retaliated, he probably wouldn't have been back again.
Ever. Yeah.
So he still got his invitation.
And I thought he was going to go into stand-up routine because he looked like he wanted to, but I think he was like, okay, let's just try to. I think he was giving a documentary award to Questlove, so let's just go ahead and get Questlove as an award and let's calm down. But he'll have another Netflix special. He will. He'll get $20 million off that.
Yeah, I seen this. I don't know if it was true or not because all type of fake shit been going on since then or been being posted. But I seen his tickets for a show went up a lot. Like it spiked up a lot. I seen it was up to like $300 and something, and it wasn't that much before the Oscars.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, everyone wants to hear like tomorrow night in Houston. Guess who's in Houston? His brother, Tony Rockett. And Tony gonna say something. Tony gonna say something because he gonna say something. So, like that's going to be interesting, and I want to hear what he has to say. Now another thing, and my lady and I were talking about, would he have done that had that been Dave Chappelle? Would he have done that had that been Dion Cole? Would he have done that if it were, let's say it was Mike Tyson hosting? Do you run your ass up on stage and slap fire? Or because you felt like it's Chris Rock, he ain't gonna do nothing. He gonna be saying he gonna think about it. Because I guarantee, I shouldn't say I guarantee, but I'm pretty confident that with Dave Chappelle, you did that. Dave Chappelle forgets, about coming back hosting Oscars. He don't give a damn anyway. It's on site.
Let's be realistic. These are comedians. They're not MMA fighters, man. Like, I don't think they necessarily want to get into a scrap, especially live at the Oscars. So I know everybody's coming in saying, "Oh, I wouldn't take that." None of us really know what we would do in that situation. Let's be honest.
Yeah, to be honest, I think if it was like Dave Chappelle, I think he would have been cracking more jokes. I think he would have went on more joking about Will Smith or Jada Pinkett. I think he would have did it even more. But like you said, Dave Chappelle, he don't care about that stuff. He's still gonna get money doing his comedy specials and all that stuff. I think Chris Rock, I don't think he cared that much about the comedy specials. I think he'd rather get another chance to host the Oscars or host something else big like that. So I think he made it. I think with him cussing, I think that kind of shocked him a little bit. Like, oh, he just smacked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And after that, he tried to say, hey, it was just a joke. It was just a G.I. Jane joke. And then he went right. He said, all right, let's go to the award now. I think he wanted to move on because If it was Dave Chappelle, he would have been like, "Oh, like he did this." He would have. I think he would have went in, not fighting wise, but joke wise.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and I think what I was saying was, would Will have gone up on stage had it been someone else that he felt like? I felt like maybe it was calculated. Like, look, this guy's probably not going to react in an unprofessional manner, right? But I agree with you. Most of these guys, they're comics, they're professionals, because you get heckled all the time at comedy shows by people in the stands. So it's kind of like the show's got to keep going. So I get that.
Yeah, I do think I think it was a little deeper. I think he had a little deeper beef with Chris Rock from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if it was Dave Chappelle that said that, I don't think Will Smith would have went up there. I think Jada probably would have been pissed, maybe. I don't know. And I don't think he would have went up there and did that. But I think Chris Rock, I think it was already some tension right there. So I think it was deeper than the G.I. Jane joke. I don't think that was the joke that just set it off. I think he already had it coming, and Chris Rock went in on him again, because I forgot he actually went in on him at the 2016 Oscars.
Yeah, no, he did. He went in on both of them.
I totally forgot about that. So maybe that has something to do with it, where that was just the last straw.
Yeah. Well, something was going on, but I just wish it could have been whatever the issue was. I wish it could have been handled out of the view of the camera. That's all, because again, it should have been a moment that we were celebrating in a historic moment, and instead it was overshadowed. And really, it was a selfish moment because it took away from Venus and Serena, and
took away from everybody.
Yeah,
everybody that followed that. The show wasn't the same after that. So.
Questlove, that was a big deal, man. Him getting
that was awkward. Like,
So there's
another topic that has endless layers to it, and we could keep going all night, man. We'll just cut it short there, though. I think we've said our piece. So, Attorney Sam, let the people know where they can, get your services, or where they can reach you or talk to you. Let's say anybody in need some attorney advice or some legal counsel. Where can they actually tap in with you at?
Oh, yeah, man. So you can catch me on Twitter at Milledge Law, MILLEDGELAW. I've been more vocal on Twitter. My IG is ATTYSLM2. Or you can go to my Facebook page, where it's just Samuel L. Milledge II. Our office number is 713-812-1409. You want to ask for Sam II. As I say, I'm the better looking and younger improved version.
2.0. Okay.
But that's where they can go, man. And I'm easy to reach out to. I respond to my DMs. I get quite a few. Any questions that you may have, or if you're in need of my services, like I say, we go all over the country. If it's a criminal matter or personal injury, that's what I specialize in. We deal with business litigation. My dad is over that department, as well as bankruptcies and probates and stuff. But find yourself in a jam, you find yourself being accused of something, come to me. My slogan is, you want to stay free, holla at me,
Okay. Well, is that a requirement for a Black attorney to have a slogan, man? Is that all attorneys? Because I always think of, the I just got hit.com and all that shit.
Girl, you don't believe what just happened.
Yeah, look, man, it's just something that sticks with the people. And I know I have prided myself on being an attorney that's being from the community and for the community and of the community. So, like, when I say you want to stay free, holler at me, a lot of folks go out and, they say that, like, hey, man, Mr. Sam, a bad boy. He said if I want to stay free, holler at him, look at me, And so you don't necessarily need it, but I think it goes a long way, because people remember that, like, oh man, that's the guy.
No, it does. It does.
That's you want to stay free, holler at me. Like, yeah, no, I mean that, So
I like it. I know you're truthful about it. You're not just saying it's a pimp game or nothing, but I just think it's funny how almost every Black attorney, I want to say since Cochran, like everybody started having a slogan that rhymed after Cochran. So
and I'll say this, when I'm doing my closings, you always try to have some like little catchy thing to say to make jurors remember it. You have some like little theme. Like, I remember I had one that was like, and it was risky. We had a case out in Center, Texas, Shelby County. Guy was caught on tape selling drugs. I mean, it was him. he had facial features that looked like 8-Ball from 8-Ball MJG. It was him. But they messed up with how their chain of custody on the evidence, and I attacked it. I was like, look, I'm not saying my client is innocent, but I am saying he's not guilty. And I remember my co-counsel was a young guy. He's like, I don't know about that, Mr. Sam. I'm like, trust me. And we got a not guilty verdict in 16 minutes. Them folks like, yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
He may not be innocent, but yeah, we couldn't let the officers go. And I was saying, you got to make the police show their work. You got to show your work. So you always want to have something like a little catchy saying or something to make people remember you. And, that's just been something I've stuck with since 2011, man. I think I came up with it after, having a long night of Ciroc. I don't know. It was just like, they freak out at me, so it's stuck with me, man. So,
That's a Diddy effect, man.
Yes,
Diddy
sir.
make you that Diddy juice make you better at litigating.
You had me Diddy bobbing and everything.
Yeah, that's how he kept all his people in them contracts, man. That's
true.
That's
True.
Rock was inspired.
True.
Man, we really appreciate you coming on, man. Good stuff as always. Make sure you follow that man at Milledge Law. Sam Milledge, Attorney Sam. You'll hear him on 610. You hear him all the time. Good follow on Twitter as well. Make sure you follow that man. And yeah, we got to do this again, man. It was good stuff.
No doubt.
Really enjoyed it.
No doubt, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. I love seeing y'all do your thing. I know this thing is blowing up, so I'm grateful to just be a part. And hey, man, I look forward to listening to more of the podcast. Keep doing a great job, fellas. Thank y'all.
Thank